Have you ever waited weeks for your FBI background check, paid for fingerprints, paid government fees, shipped your documents only to get a letter saying rejected, not delayed, not pending, but rejected? Here's what's crazy. Most people immediately assume that there's something wrong with their criminal history. There usually isn't. In fact, one of the biggest reasons why your FBI background check got rejected for an apostille has nothing to do with your criminal history. Or someone told you to notarize a federal document that should have never been notarized in the first place. And unfortunately, the internet is full of bad advice. Today, I'm gonna save you weeks of delays, unnecessary expenses, and a whole lot of frustration by walking you through the most common reasons an FBI background check gets rejected for an apostille. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie McAfee, founder of Stephanie's Notarial Services. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. Now let's talk about why your FBI background check may have been rejected for an apostille. First, we need to understand what is an FBI background check. And one thing I see people confuse all the time, they tell me, I already have a background check. Okay, but what kind of background check do you have? Because not all background checks are created equal. When another country asks for an FBI background check, they're usually requesting what's officially called an FBI Identity History Summary. You may also hear it called FBI Criminal Background Check, FBI Police Clearance, or FBI Criminal History Report. They're generally talking about the same federal document. This report is issued directly by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not your local police department and not your state government. And that's the first place that many people run into trouble. They obtain a local police clearance or a state background check thinking it can simply receive an apostille. But if the receiving country specifically requires an FBI Identity History Summary, a state or local report may not satisfy that requirement. It's important to always follow the requesting country's or organization instructions. Now here's where people make their first major mistake. They send their FBI background check to the Secretary of State. I cannot tell you how many emails I've received from people saying, Stephanie, I mailed my FBI background check to the Secretary of State and they mailed it right back to me. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Here's why. An FBI Identity History Summary is a federal document. That means it does not receive an apostille from the Secretary of State. Instead, after the FBI authenticates the document with the watermark and its authorized signature, it's then submitted to the U.S. Department of State for an apostille when one is needed for a country a part of the Hague Convention. That one misunderstanding alone can cause countless delays because people naturally think, okay, I live in Ohio, California, Texas, or Florida, so I'll send my documents to the state's office. But federal documents follow a federal process. And knowing which office has authority over your document is one of the most important steps in the apostille journey. Now that's just the first mistake. The second mistake is even more expensive because many people unknowingly alter their own FBI background check before sending it for an apostille. And once that happens, they often have to start the entire process over. Let's talk about that next. Now that we know where your FBI background check has to go, let's talk about the mistakes that can get it rejected before it even reaches the finish line. Trust me, some of these are so common that I see them almost every week. Now this one surprises a lot of people. Someone will tell me, Stephanie, I already have my FBI paperwork. Okay, but what paperwork? Because not every document from the FBI is the Identity History Summary. And the document most foreign countries are requesting is the FBI Identity History Summary, sometimes called your FBI background check or FBI police certificate. That's the document typically used for immigration, employment abroad, residency applications, and other international purposes. I've seen people accidentally submit fingerprint receipt, appointment confirmations, payment confirmations, emails from the FBI, fingerprint cards, and local police background checks. And none of those are the same thing. Think about it like this. If someone asks you for your passport, you wouldn't hand them the receipt from the passport office. It's the same concept. Always make sure that you're working with the actual FBI identity history summary, not the paperwork that came before or after it. Now, can we have an honest conversation for a sec? One of the biggest problems in the industry is bad information spreads faster than good information. You'll post a question online, and before you know it, 20 different people have given you 20 different answers. One person says, take it to your county clerk. Another person says, get it notarized first. Someone else says, send it to your Secretary of State. Here's the problem. Federal documents don't follow state rules. An FBI identity history summary is issued by a federal agency. So when an apostille is required for a Hague Convention country, it goes through the U.S. Department of State, not the Secretary of State. That's why I always tell people, don't build your document strategy from Facebook comment. Build it from official guidance and your destination's country requirement. Now, this next one causes a lot of confusion, especially because I'm a notary. People assume everything needs to be notarized first before getting an apostille. No, and this is one of the biggest misconceptions that I teach about. An FBI identity history summary already contains the FBI's authentication features, including an FBI watermark and the signature of an authorized division official. The FBI instructs requester to send that authenticated document to the U.S. Department of State if an apostille is needed. If you take that federal document and try to turn it into something else unnecessarily, you can complicate the process. Here's my advice. Before you let anyone alter an FBI issued document, make sure you understand the requirements for the country that you're sending it to. That's why every apostille request always starts with one question. What country are these documents going to? Because that answer changes everything. Now, this next one is huge because people think I need an apostille. Maybe, maybe not. It really depends on the country. If the country where you'll be sending the documents participates in the Hague Convention, an apostille is generally the certification used. If it doesn't participate in the Hague Convention, you will need a different authentication process. That can include additional certifications or embassy legalization after federal authentication. That's why I always tell my clients, never start with the document. Start with the destination country, because if you solve that question first, everything else becomes much easier. This last mistake breaks my heart. I'll usually get a phone call that sounds something like this. Stephanie, my flight is in 10 days, or my employer overseas needs this by next Friday, or my visa appointment is already scheduled. I always have to explain the apostille process isn't always instant. Even obtaining an FBI identity history summary can take some time, depending on how you submit your request. The FBI notes that the electronic submissions are generally processed faster than mailed requests, but they still process requests in the order that they receive them. So don't wait until the last week before your international deadline. And if you miss it, you could be mailing the wrong document all over again. And people ask me all the time, Stephanie, how do you always know where documents need to go? Here's my answer. I don't guess. I follow a process. Before I touch a single document, I'm asking questions. What country is it going to? What type of document is it? Who issued it? Is it a federal document or a state document? Does this country participate in the Hague Convention? Or does it require a different authentication process? Those questions determine every step that comes next. And honestly, that's why I enjoy apostille work so much. It's like solving a puzzle. Every client is different. Every document tells a different story. But if you understand the process, the puzzle becomes much easier to solve. If I could leave you with one piece of advice, it would be this: slow down. Most apostille mistakes happen because people rush. They've got plane tickets booked, visa deadlines, job offers, immigration appointments. They're trying to move as fast as possible, and I completely understand why. But slowing down long enough to verify one or two details can save you weeks of delays and unnecessary expenses. One phone call, one email, or one extra question could save you from mailing your documents to the wrong office. So let's recap. Before you send your FBI background check off for an apostille, remember these 6 things. Number 1, make sure you actually have an official official FBI identity history summary. Number 2, remember that it's a federal document. Number 3, federal documents don't go to the Secretary of State's office. Number 4, don't assume that every document requires a notarization. Number 5, always verify the requirements of the country requesting the document.
And number 6, don't wait until the last minute. Planning ahead always gives you the best chance of avoiding unnecessary delays. If this video helped you, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment down below. I want to know what country you're getting your FBI background check prepared for. I read the comments on every single video, and your question might inspire my next video. And if you're a notary or someone who's been thinking about offering apostille services, every month I host a free live apostille webinar where I walk you through the apostille process step by step. And before you leave, don't miss the next video right here, because if you're wondering whether your birth certificate, marriage certificate, or another important document got rejected, you're gonna want to watch this next video. I'll see you over there.